speaking with us. You say that the ICC issuing a warrant for Israel is akin to Holocaust denial. Why?
Well, because what happened on October the 7th was the largest number of Jewish people slaughtered, murdered, raped, mutilated, burned alive, whole families since the Holocaust, the largest in one single incident. And so what's happening is Israel is being charged with war crimes, and in fact all it's been doing is defending itself. And there are a lot of people, including pro-Palestinian activists and also governments, sort of trying to say that what happened on October 7 didn't happen, that the IDF killed their own people. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
But that's not what these charges relate to. The charges are that Israel has been starving by blocking aid and targeting civilians, leading to mass civilian deaths.
Yes, and that's absolutely not true. Either of those charges are not true.
How do you know that? We know the United Nations is saying that, Human Rights Watch is saying that, Amnesty International is saying that. How do we know that?
Yes, of course. So John Spencer, who's a West Point urban warfare expert, he has said that the ratio of combatants to civilians in a modern comparable war is much less than any other war, which shows that Israel has gone to a great amount of trouble to avoid civilian deaths, even though Hamas is using civilians as human shields to try and boost up their propaganda war. What's happening is Israel has been so careful to avoid civilian deaths that it's dropping leaflets, it's ringing people to make sure they're out of buildings first, because Hamas has put its weapons and its leaders in schools, in hospitals, to try to get maximum civilian deaths out of this, to make themselves look good.
So 35,000 people killed, some 60% of them are women, children and the elderly. 75% of the population have been forced from their home. 56 schools destroyed, 400 health workers dead, 190 UN workers dead. You think in every one of those circumstances it's been because Hamas has been using them as shields?
Mostly, in most of those occasions. Obviously not all of them. But Israel is one of the most ethical armies in the world, if you can be as ethical as what you can be in warfare. And look, the civilian deaths in this war are much less than civilian deaths in Syria and Iraq, and that has to be taken into account.
So when you say most of those deaths have happened because civilians were using as human shields, isn't that saying that in some cases that wasn't the case, and so civilians have been killed and have been targeted?
Civilians have not been targeted by Israel, okay? So it's a horrible word, collateral damage, but civilians have not been targeted by Israel. That's an outright lie that has been part of the propaganda mix of the pro-Palestinian activists.
And there has been documented cases where at the moment we're looking at the fact that in northern Gaza, aid is being blocked by the Israeli military.
Well, where there has been cases where militants have actually bombed humanitarian aid trucks coming through, and sometimes even IDF soldiers have been killed at those checkpoints, they have been temporarily closed, that's true. But look, on the whole, Israel has assisted 29,000 trucks of aid to go through, with over $500,000 of US value worth of aid that has gone through those crossings. And where else have you ever had a nation at war who has given humanitarian aid to the civilians of the enemy? That has just not happened. But Israel, of course, has gone to a lot of trouble to try to do that.
And where are you getting your information from this? If we've got the United Nations, we've got Human Rights Watch, we've got the ICC, we've got the Amnesty, all saying basically the same thing, and you're saying, no, they're wrong, I've got better information than what they do.
Well, I mean, you can only just, I've been looking at a lot of information from various sources, but you can even look at the Australian newspaper editorial of the 22nd of May, which has the information from John Spencer of the West Point urban warfare expert, and also the
But
other
why
thing.
is it right and all those other major organisations wrong?
Because it's a propaganda war. It's a propaganda war, and Hamas is winning. Hamas and Iranian proxies are winning the propaganda war against Israel. Now you have to have a look at the UN and a lot of those agencies allied with them, like the ICC and the ICJ. They are involved with the UN, which is an organisation that has terrible humanitarian rights records of its member states, and also a majority of Islamic states, a majority of autocratic states. It also has communist states, and so these nations don't want the only Jewish state in the whole world to survive, to have any land or any people. They want to exterminate that.
Well, only a small proportion of UN members are, as you put it, autocratic Islamic states. I mean, there's none of those on the Islamic Security on the UN Security Council, for instance.
Look, there is, you look at the UN General Assembly, and there is a lot of Islamic states on that, some communist states, etc., and one Jewish state. One!
Barbara Miller, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.